In any electronic device, the most important component is the processor, as we are talking about nothing more and nothing less than the brain. If this is bad, everything else will be disastrous. For that reason, high-end chips like the Snapdragon 8 Elite are normally only available in very expensive equipment. Or rather, that is what they want us to believe. Save this video and share it because today I'm going to show you 7 phones with the Snapdragon 8 Elite that are currently incredibly cheap. And how about we start right away with the ASUS ROG Phone 9 Pro, a model launched in September 2024 that among its main features integrates a very powerful 5800 mAh battery, well above the average in the mobile phone industry, as well as fast charging up to 65W, so that you can get an idea. There are many models that are much more expensive that barely surpass half of this, which in practical use means not spending a lot of time stuck to the plug waiting for your phone to recharge. And this is even while having a tremendous AMOLED screen manufactured by Samsung with a diagonal size of 6.78 inches, which occupies about 88% of the useful surface. So there are almost no frames, edges, or bezels. What there is a brutal touch response rate of up to 720 Hz, as well as a refresh rate of up to 165 Hz, with which theoretically we could visualize more than 160 frames per second on our cell phone screen, something that could be extremely useful, especially in games, specifically those that require fast movement such as shooters. Of course, that does not depend exactly on the limit the screen has. There are many phones whose maximum refresh rate is supposedly quite high, which in practice almost never go beyond 60 frames per second in anything. And the reason is that the performance is simply and plainly incapable of moving things beyond that limit. But here that is not the case, as we have up to 24 gigabytes of RAM memory. Yes, you heard right, 24 gigabytes of RAM, more than your laptop, which are of the LPDDR5X type and are complemented by up to 1024 gigabytes of internal memory, which added to the Adreno 830 GPU and Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite processor manufactured in 3 nanometers, reach a monstrous 3 million points in ANTU-2. A normal mid-range phone like the Galaxy A56 has around 840,000 points, so do the math. In fact, from 1.5 million it is already considered a lot of power, so with this we can run any application or game that comes our way without problems, where there might be some is at the time of getting it, as it is not widely distributed worldwide, staying limited only to certain markets. And it is sad because it is literally a pocket nuclear reactor. When it came out it had a very high cost, but it has plummeted in recent months due to the fact that there is simply not that much demand, and the most likely thing is that in the near future it will continue to drop in price. Special mention for other models of the same brand that might not have the same chip or be exactly this one, but still continue with the same logic. I know that perhaps the ROG phones are not the most popular devices in the world, and therefore I perfectly understand the distrust that some may have seeing the name ASUS on a cell phone. This brand is normally associated with laptops. That is why now we are going to talk about another manufacturer that has specialized directly in making mobile phones for a long time now, although it still remains a rare sight for some. I refer to OnePlus, specifically its 13 model launched in October 2024 for a price exceeding $1,000 or euros, although currently I have seen it for little more than half of that. Unlike the previous model, here we are not facing a gamer device designed exclusively for playing. The OnePlus 13 is a phone that has several features that we would normally only see in those ultra-hyper-expensive cell phones from the best-known brands, such as a triple camera headed by a 50-megapixel Sony sensor, but with a secondary lens not of 2 megapixels as is usually normal, but a 50-megapixel Samsung and a third not of 8 or 5, but a 50 also from Sony. So in effect here all 3 cameras are of quality, not a decent main one and the rest garbage as usually happens. 2 and even today, despite all the progress that has existed in the market, for many people, gamer devices are more like expensive toys. On more than one occasion, even the brands themselves tend to neglect fundamental aspects of any cell phone when selling one of these models. In this case, not only do we have a 6.82-inch screen in 1440 by 3168 pixel resolution, which is quite high, but it also occupies 90% of the useful surface on the front of the device. 3. It has Corning Gorilla Glass ceramic, thanks to which it achieves a high level of resistance in terms of falls, scratches, scuffs, and so on. And if we talk about battery, hold on because we have nothing more and nothing less than 6,000 mAh with fast charging up to 100W. Yes, 100W. The iPhone 17 Pro Max stays at 40, so get an idea, more than double. Another aspect that makes this OnePlus 13 stand out above the rest is that it was launched with Android 15, but it has operating system updates for up to 4 years and security patches for up to 6. Unlike those supposed quality price phones that you buy and after a year they receive no updates, so you stay on the same version of Android forever. For unlike the model we saw in the previous spot, this one can be much easier to obtain because OnePlus is officially present in many countries throughout the world. Even if it is not the case, another very good model can be found. Advertising, influencers, and marketing make us believe that we have no alternatives apart from what we have known all our lives. But that is false. In fact, a piece of information that no one asked me for is that there are more than 250 completely different mobile phone manufacturers, and one of them is Honor, the heir to Huawei. In several videos I have already commented on this brand, and in this specific case, we are talking about the Magic 7 Pro. This device can have 12 or up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, as well as 256, 512, or 1024 gigabytes of internal memory, sufficient to store the high-quality photos you can take with its camera, one of the best on the planet. It is a quadruple setup headed by a 50-megapixel OmniVision sensor, but also featuring a 200-megapixel Samsung telephoto lens. There are still people who believe that the iPhone has the best camera, right? Gentlemen, it is this thing. You only need to look at the module to realize what we have in front of us. But of course, you don't live on photos alone. In fact, as a man, one doesn't usually take many, unless, well, you know. But even if we don't use this feature, we must admit that it is absolutely a determining factor when considering a device as high-end. The same goes for other specifications, such as the dust and water resistance certification, which in this case is IP69 grade, as well as extras that are sometimes not taken into account like wireless charging, magnetic wireless charging, and reverse charging, all of them present in this model, which by the way, the wireless charging can reach a maximum of 80 W. Normally, it is not even half of that, even in phones from more recognized and more expensive brands. In the end, the vast majority of people buy Apple or buy Samsung, even when models like these exist that are capable of offering much more innovative and surprising features. The reason is quite simple. Habit, trust, security. These things in the end up being what have the most impact when buying a phone, and especially a high-end one. However, anyone who wishes to have something different from everyone else obviously cannot aim for the same thing everyone else buys. The best part of all this is that since they are not such commercially successful phones, they can be obtained for much lower prices than they had when they first came out just a short time later. And it is something that is seen a lot in cell phones, such as the Nubia Z70 Ultra, one of the most accessible currently with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. I've even seen it around $600, which is quite absurd considering it has a 6,150 mAh battery with fast charging up to 80 W, as well as 12, 16, or up to 24 gigabytes of RAM and 256, 512, or 1024 gigabytes of internal memory, which, by the way, are UFS 4.0, notably faster and more efficient than other past technologies. The LPDDR5X RAM accompanies the powerful Snapdragon 8 Elite with a maximum clock frequency of up to 4.32 GHz. This model was launched at the end of 2024, but it will continue to be updated for at least the next 3 years, both at the operating system level and with security patches. The score it achieves in EE.UU exceeds 2,700,000 points, more than enough to guarantee fluid performance in any daily situation and even if we take it to an extreme level. This brand was born from ZTE, but later became completely independent of it and has even reached the point of launching its own sub-brands, such as Red Magic. The emphasis of its proposal revolves around performance, the camera, the operating system, and optimization. Although due to global logistics issues, in some countries it can be practically impossible to get one of these. And it is sad because these are devices that offer you incredible value for your money. They went from quite simple beginnings to today being closer and closer to the top. Still, someone could argue that Nubia is still unknown. There may even be cases of those who have bought models from this brand in the past and have ended up having bad experiences. That is why we now move on to another manufacturer that is a bit better known in many markets, Realme, specifically with its GT7 Pro, which I have managed to see below $370, and that is starting to border on the absurd. I say this because even its most expensive variants are incredibly complete. We have a 6,500 mAh battery with fast charging up to 120 W and reverse charging. the ability to charge another device as if it were a power bank, in addition to operating system updates for 3 years and security patches for 4. This comes alongside a 6.78-inch AMOLED screen with a resolution of 1270 by 2780 pixels and a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz. And all with the backing of a manufacturer already consolidated in many countries like Realme. Although the truth is that in recent years it has considerably reduced its presence compared to what it had a few years ago. In general, the entire industry has suffered a downturn these last few years. After the pandemic, a kind of stagnation cycle seems to have begun for many manufacturers, though I can talk to you more in depth about that in another video if you want. While this Realme can have many variants and there are markets where it is usually sold for more, if you manage to get it, especially at a good price, it is a brutal offer, one of those that simply cannot be let go because it might not be found again. But I already know what you must be thinking and what more than one person out there is going to comment to me. TP, you've shown us nothing but rare phones that can't be found even under a rock, or if they are found, they have a much higher price in our regions. And look, there are more than 20 Spanish-speaking countries. In some, it is possible to access many products easily, quickly, and affordably. In others, the process can be a bit more difficult, and there are cases where it is directly impossible. This is because not all brands sell officially in every territory. However, the ones I am going to mention from now on are indeed omnipresent. For example, Xiaomi is already everywhere, and its F7 Ultra is one of the phones with the Snapdragon 8 Elite that can be obtained most affordably right now. I have seen it around $600, and if we consider that it possesses one of the best cameras in the manufacturer's history, as well as a design, build quality, brand backing, and materials never before seen in this line, it is easy to know why it is recommended so much. Launched in May 2025, this device, which came with Android 15, will continue to receive operating system updates for up to 6 years. The same applies to security patches, something that completely breaks with the tradition Xiaomi had until now, especially with its Poco line, which was to give them very little support time. Little Poco. Get the joke? Now they are very much aligned with the proposal of turning Poco into a high-end manufacturer and moving it further and further away from that initial quality price start it had before. This is something many people do not like, but others absolutely love. It is something different from what a company that has been manufacturing some of the best phones on the market for many years does. I am referring to Samsung and specifically, in this case, its Galaxy S25, which globally comes equipped with a Snapdragon 8 Elite. Its price today is much lower than it was when it was first released. And although its screen is somewhat small by current standards, being 6.2 inches, this compactness is actually something that some people prefer. However, as a trade-off, it must be noted that the battery is only 4,000 mAh. Even so, Samsung has many other phones that are even better than this one in terms of cost-benefit.